The Tales of a Ghost Housewife Season 3 Episode 1 Ghost Wife's Secret. There is something I must tell you.
What is it?
I did something bad.
What did you do?
I.
Spill it out, woman.
Is this thing on? Oh, hello there. Sorry to interrupt your daytime soap, but I have something I want to talk about. Today we will be learning about the 3 Ps. You don't know what the 3 Ps are? Well, let me tell you. We will be talking about proportion, percent, and percentile. Oh, I also forgot. They are also connected to probability. These are important in understanding data in statistics and in your everyday life. Now let's talk about proportion.
What is proportion, you ask? Well, proportion is just part of a whole. Think of it like a slice of cheese pizza from Joe Peep's Pizzeria. If you have 1 out of 4 slices, it is 1/4 as a fraction. Yum. But how do you write it as a decimal? Well, 1/4 as a decimal is 0.25. But how do we know? Well, we divide 1 and 4 and it gives us 0.25. In statistics, we at times use proportions to characterize how much of data is under a part of the normal curve. What is a normal curve, you ask? Well, it's that bell-shaped graph we use. Remember this information because we will talk about this later.
That is a lot of information about proportion. Very interesting comparison about the cheese pizza. But what about percent? What is that?
Alright, today we will be discussing about percent. Who can tell me what does percent mean?
Percent is that wiggly thing with the 2 circles.
Yes, but I asked what does it mean? Percent means per 100. It is the same thing as proportion but it is scaled to 100.
So teacher, how would you write 1 out of 4 as a percentage?
So 1 out of 4 is 25 out of 100 or 25%. Remember last week we talked about 1/4 is the same as 0.25 as a decimal.
So how do we get 25%, teacher?
To do this, we must move the decimals to 2 places to the right. We use percent to characterize stuff like, for instance, exams. So 50/100 is 50%, which is your score on last week's math quiz, Andrea. But anyways, we use percent in statistics to see how much of the data lies under part of the normal curve.
Wow, poor Andrea, getting a 50/100 on her math quiz. I mean, 50% on her math quiz. I did not know that percent means per 100. A lot of good information. But now what about percentile? What is that?
Imelda, I have a question I need to ask of you.
Oh, you want to ask me a question? Sure, tell me. You never seem to ask me anything.
So today, my teacher said I am in the 25th percentile when she was done grading my paper exam. What does that mean? Is it good or bad?
Well, okay, so percentile means the position of a score that is related to others. So in this case, since your teacher said you are in the 25th percentile, it means you scored better or similar to the 25% to that group.
So I got a 25% on the exam and everyone else failed? Man, my dad is going to yell at me.
No, it does not mean you scored 25% on your exam. They are not the same. Percentiles are all about ranking and not about raw scores.
So, does that mean I did good, right?
Phew. So percentile is based on ranking and not on raw scores. That is good to know. I most definitely thought Andrea did bad again. I know earlier we mentioned a normal curve. So how do we put the 3 Ps together?
Settle down. Today we will be learning about how proportion, percent, and percentile plays a role in the normal curve.
What is a normal curve again?
We have discussed this already, but I will say it again. A normal curve is a bell-shaped graph we use in statistics.
Right.
As I was saying, picture that we have a normal curve, and the proportion that is colored is 0.25.
Okay, so I have it pictured, but what does it mean, teacher?
It means that 25% of the data is there and it matches with the 25th percentile. In this case, it either is at or below of which 25% of the data falls.
What if the proportion is shaded at 0.75? What does that mean, teacher?
It means that it is 75% of that data is in the area and the dividing line is at the 75th percentile.
What does this curve entails?
Well, for the curves, we have something called a tail and it is the minority of the data. And then we have the body which is the majority of the data. The tail and body are located in the curve and it also depends on where the percentile lands.
Will this be on the exam?
Interesting. That was really confusing. But, We do know that if we have 0.25 it means that 25% of the data is in the area and it is where the data is at or below the 25% where the data falls, meaning in the 25th percentile. Wow, my head hurts. Now, in the beginning I said that the 3 P's are connected to probability. So now we will be discussing about why proportions and probability are important in statistics.
Proportions. 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 Dang proportions. Pay attention. Why should we care about dang proportions? Huh? Tell me, Samir.
I don't know, Jessica.
I'll tell you why we should care. Have you ever heard of probability?
Yes.
And proportions helps us understand probability. How you asked. Probability is the proportion of the successful outcomes in statistics. What are the chances of something happening? Huh?
I need an example.
Remember, Samir. Proportion is part of a whole. Now probability is a measure of how likely something is going to happen. Okay, now connecting everything together. Proportions are at times used to express probabilities. So if 5 out 10 people like chips, then the proportion is 5/10, which is, however, the probability that a randomly picked person likes chips. Get it? Got it? Good. Now fetch me some chips.
Wow, we are at the end. Okay, let's sum up what we learned. Proportion is part of a whole, and percent is part out of 100, and percentile tell us how a score is compared to others. And finally, these P's are connected to probability, and probability is assists us on making informed choices. Okay, the 3 P's helps us on understanding people, patterns, and the possibilities in life. Okay, bye.
It is okay. We all make mistakes. I forgive you, honey.
I love you too.